radio. My first University episode came out on Saturday, 10th of August. We settled on making a small animation for each episode. Not very long, just one that repeats throughout the 20 minutes, a 4-second GIF, repeating over and over and over again. The one I made for this episode was of the city university, growing out of the ground, and stars flashing in the sky. Looking back now, I guess it was pretty crap, but we both loved it at the time, which is what mattered, I think. I listened to Alad record the episode that night. I was astounded that he let me. I knew Alad was a more private and quiet person than I was, even though we played High School Musical, Just Dance that week, and performing it if it was that type of thing. If it was High School Musical, Just Dance this weekend, and performing if that's what this was, but didn't seem like something he would be okay with. Alad performing in the episode of University felt more personal than anything. I'd seen or heard of him before, including the time we had at 2 a.m. discussion about bowel movements, but he wasn't okay with it. He turned his bedroom light off. The multicolored fairy lights above our heads looked like the tiny stars, and the tips of his hair lit up all different colors. He slumped into his desk chair and fiddled for a few minutes with his beautiful microphone, which must have cost a shitload of money. I was on a beanbag, his city blanket wrapped around me because I was always freezing in his house. Tired, the room was dark. The room was dark blue and hazy. I could have fallen asleep. Hello, I hope somebody is listening. He'd written the script on his laptop. He did all the different voices. He repeated lines if he got them wrong. As he recorded, the sound waves bounced up and down on his computer screen. It was like I was just listening to a completely different person. No, not different, just more of Alad. Alad at 100%. Alad being himself. I was listening to Alad's brain. I zoned out, like I always do. I got lost in the story. I forgot about things. Every episode of University ends with the performance of a song. The same song every time. A 30-second rock song Alad had written called Nothing Left for Us, but a new performance. I didn't realize Alad was going to perform it right then and there until he picked up his electric guitar and plugged it into his amp. And some of pre-recorded drums and bass guitars started playing out of his speakers. And when he played his guitar, it was so loud that I clamped my hands over my ears. It was like it always was, but so much better in person. Like 1,000 guitars and chains, saws, and lighting all at once. The bass making the wall shapes behind my head, and then he started to sing in the shouty way, what I could have sung along with. I wanted to sing along with, but I didn't because I didn't want to ruin it. I already knew both the tune and the lyrics. There's nothing left for us anymore. Why aren't you listening? Why aren't you listening to me? There's nothing left. When he finished, he turned around again in his desk and chair and said, back in his quiet voice, like I snapped out of a dream, so what's the voice? High, lower, medium. It was 10 p.m. His bedroom ceiling, looking like a galaxy. He told me he painted it when he was 14. You choose, I said. He pulled his sleeves over his hand. I was starting to figure out what he meant. I said, this is the best day of my whole life. He grinned. Shut up. He turned back to his laptop. His body slid against the bright of his screen, and he said, "I think Medium Voice. I like Agonist Radio best." February Friday. My Tumblr got 1,000 new followers in one day. It was flooded with asks telling me how much they loved my art and congratulations for getting to work on the show that I've been obsessed about in love, along with a few asks me telling me how much they hated and me, obviously. And I was everywhere in the university Tumblr tag, my art, my blog, my Twitter, me. They still didn't know anything about me, which I was actually grateful for. Internet anonymity can be a good thing sometimes. Allie knowing I was Toulouse in the university artist, which was fine, but the idea of anyone else finding out still terrified me. And of course, once my involvement with the university was revealed, I was bombarded with tweets and questions on Tumblr asking who the creator was. I had expected it, but that didn't mean it failed to stress me out. I couldn't post anything online for several days after the episode, which without a fresh wave of questions about who I was or who the creator was. And as soon as I showed Alec the messages, he panicked. We were sitting in my tent on the sofa watching Spirited Away. He read the messages in my Tumblr inbox, and he put his hand on his forehead and then started to say, "Oh no, oh no, oh no, God," under his breath. It's okay. It's not like I'm going to tell them. We can't let them find out. I didn't really know why Alad wanted to keep university a secret. It was just because he liked the privacy. He didn't want his face on the internet. It felt a bit invasive to ask. "Okay," I said. "I've got an idea," said Alad. He opened Twitter on his laptop and typed out a tweet. "Radio at university. February Friday. I still believe. I still learn. I still listen. February Friday." I said, "Yes, good idea. February Friday." Or the letters to February segment of the show podcast, probably the biggest conspiracy theories within the university fandom. The fandom wiki explained it quite well. February Friday in the fandom theories. It is commonly believed within the university fandom that the entire series is a gift from the anonymous creator to a person that we're in love with. The large majority of the early episodes 2011 and around half of the later episodes 2012 onward contains a passage, usually towards the end of the episode, directed toward a character who never makes any appearances or any story arc. February Friday. In these segments, radio silence typically laments their inability to communicate with February Friday, muddled in the extract imagery and intimate metaphors. Usually, the segment are largely non-synchal, leading the fandom to believe what they're mostly comprised of personal jokes that the anonymous creator shares with the person in real life, represented by February Friday. As these segments contribute nothing to university's plot and have no sequel plot on their own, the fandom argues that they must contain some significance to the creator. Many attempts have been made to determine the meaning of what have become known to the letters as letters to February, but all the attempts are merely guesswork and object analysis. So, radio tweeting about February Friday obviously confused a fandom shitstorm, a brief, inclusive one, but an unbelievable shitstorm. And everyone was completely distracted from sending me messages demanding to know who I was and who radio was. Since getting to know Aled, I thought about the February Friday conspiracy, about who February might be, and if they were a represent of somebody he knew. My intimate thoughts went to Carrie's, but I rejected that idea since the letters to February were so romantic. I even considered me at one point before realizing that Aled hadn't even known me at one point before realizing Aled hadn't even known me when he started making University. Of course, being friends with Aled now meant that I had the opportunity to ask him about February Friday, which I did. So, just putting out there, I rolled over the sofa so I was facing him. Am I allowed to know the secret of February Friday? Aled bit his lip and genuinely thought about it. He rolled over and facing me too. Okay, don't be offended, but I think that needs to stay an ultimate secret. And I thought that was fair enough. University, episode 32. Cosmic Noise. University. 110,897 views. Have you been listening so far? Scroll down for transcript. I think by now, February, we've, as they say, lost touch. Not that we were touched in the first place. In the end, I'm still only ever looking for you where you've looked. I'm only ever walking where you've walked. I'm in the dark blue shadow as you never seem to turn around to find me there. I wonder sometimes whether if you've exploded already, like a star, in what I'm seeing in 3 million years into the past, and you're not here anymore. How can we be together here, now, when you're so far away? When you are so far away ago. I'm shouting so loudly, but you never turn around to see me. Perhaps it is I who already exploded. Either way, we are going to bring beautiful things into the universe. The big scheme of things. Thursday, 15th August, was Results Day. It was also Aled's 18th birthday. Our friendship had became this. 12 o'clock. Francis Jager. Happy birthday. Hope you're feeling party AF. Love you loads, you beautiful man. Can't believe my small buddy is a man now. I'm crying. 12:02. Aled last. Why are you tormenting me with cringe messages like this? 12:03. Francis Jager. Shrugs shoulder smile. 12:03. Aled last. Wow, thank you though, love you. Smiley face. Flower. 12:04. Francis Jager. That was cringe MA. 12:04. Aled last. That was payback. I was stressing out quite a lot Results Day because that's what I always do. I was stressing out because I hadn't seen or talked to my school friends since the end of the summer term. With any luck, I could just walk in, grab my results, and scarple before anyone could ask me the dreaded question, how were you? How were your results? Question. I'm sure you've done fine, Francis, Mom said, shutting the car door. We just arrived at the school. I was boiling in my school suit. Oh God, sorry, that's literally the least helpful thing I could possibly say. Pretty much, I said. We walked through the car park into the sixth form block and up the stairs to the ILC. Mom glancing at me. I think she wanted to say something, but honestly, there really isn't anything to say when you're about to read 4 letters that shape the rest of your life. The room was packed because Mom and I were a bit late. There were teachers at the desk handing out brown envelopes. There were wine glasses on a table at the back for the parents. A girl from history class was crying only 5 meters away, and I tried not to look at her. I'll get you some wine, said Mom. I turned to her. She looked at me. It's just school, isn't it? It's just school. I shook my head. It's never just school. Mom sighed. It doesn't matter, though. I'm in the big scheme of things. If you say so, I said, rolling my eyes. I got 4 A grades. That's the highest you can The highest you can get is an AS level. I expected to be happy about it. I expected to be jumping up and down and crying from joy, but I didn't feel any of that. It wasn't disappointing. My year 10 results the day before Carrie ran away. It was her year 11 results day, which was obviously important because that's when you get most of your GCSE results. I knew that. I knew she never got good grades, but that's the only day I ever saw her cry. I just got my GC. I just got my results for the science GCSEs. I'd taken a year early, for which I'd received an A star, and I was walking out of the same room that ILC with my mom staring at the tiny Times New Roman A star. In the first of many to come, we walked down the stairs, and we were about to exit the building when Carrie's and Carl Last walked right past the open door, heading toward the car parked. I heard the words, "Really quite pathetic," and I guess it was Carol who said them, but to this day I can't be sure. Carrie had tears streaming down her face, and her mom was holding on to her arm so tight that it must have hurt. I drank my wine. Mom strolled for me and pretty much wouldn't go, facing the wall so none of the teachers saw me. Then we passed Dr. Afolian, who tried to catch my eye, and we were walking out of the room and down the stairs of the building and into sunlight. My grip of my results envelopes have crumbled into a smudge my name. "Are you okay?" said Mom. "You don't seem very happy." She was right, but I didn't know why. "Francis," I spun around, praying it wasn't one of my friends, but of course it was. It was Rainey Spunta. She'd been leaning on a railing outside of the building, talking to someone I didn't know. She walked up to me. She had the right side of her hair freshly shaved. "All good, mate," she said, nodding my envelope. I smiled. Yep, 4 A's. "Holy shit, well done." "Thanks, yeah, I'm really pleased." "So, you're all good for Cambridge, yeah?" "Yeah, I should be." "Sweet." There was a pause. "How about you?" I asked. Rain shrugged. 2 C's, a D, and an E. Not great, but I think Affiliate let me back in if I do some retakes. I had no idea what to say, and Rain could obviously tell. She laughed. "It's fine. I don't do any work, and my art coursework was proper shit." Well, we said some awkward goodbyes, and my mom walked off again. "Who was that?" said Mom, once we got into the car. "Rain Sapernica? I don't think you even mentioned her before." "She's just in our friendship group. We're not that close." My phone buzzed, and it was a text from Aled. He said, "Aled lost 4 A+. I'm in." Mom flipped the sound vision down in front of her and said, "Ready to go home?" And I said, "Yeah." The Circles of Evil. There was a huge Facebook event on the post-result night that was happening at Johnny Orr's on the same day which everyone in Sixth Form had been invited to. But I didn't really want to go. Firstly, everyone was going to get drunk, which I could do perfectly well by myself in my den while I was watching YouTube videos instead of having to worry about catching the last train home or avoiding sexual assault. Secondly, I hadn't really spoken to any of my school friends apart from Rain very recently, and I think if we were in the Sims, our friendship would almost be back to nothing. I knew Aled was busy celebrating his birthday with Daniel, which was a bit weird since I didn't think they'd actually get to spend a lot of time together recently, but Daniel was actually his lifelong best friend, so fair enough. Mom had brought champagne and said we could order pizza and play Trivial Pursuit. I'd be able to give Aled his present tomorrow. What I was not expecting was Daniel Hunt to be knocking on my door at 9:43 p.m. I was pretty tipsy, but even if I'd been sober, I would still have laughed my ass off. We were wearing his old grammar school uniform, the one he'd worn until 6th grade when he was moved above to the academy. In theory, it was completely normal. A black blazer and a trouser and a plain navy tie and a crest with a gold T on it. But since Daniel's year 12 growth spurt, the trousers ended just above his ankles, and the blazer was so tight and short in the arms that he looked absolutely ridiculous. He stood on their eyebrows raised, and while I laughed and laughed, "Oh my God, you look like Bruno Mars." There was a small tear forming in my eye. Daniel frowned. Bruno Mars is Puerto Rican and Filipino heritage, not Korean. So that's incredibly offensive. I was referring to the shortness of your trouser. Are you auditioning for Jury Boys? He blinked. Yes, that's actually my life goal. I wrote that in my career server. Your Bruno Mars trivia is impressive, by the way. I leaned against the doorway. You don't fancy a game of Trivia Pursuit, do you? I'm right in the middle of one. Well, yes. Well, why else would I possibly be here, Francis? We looked at each other. There was a pause. Why are you here? I said. Aren't you supposed to be with Aled? He raised his eyebrow again. Basically, we were going to go to the post-exams things at Johnny R's, but Aled doesn't really want to go, and he says that it'd be nice to see you on his birthday. I thought you two were hanging out. We are, actually. Without me, we had been so far. So I'd be the ultimate third wheel. He laughed. Yeah, I know, right? I considered shutting the door in his face. Are you coming or not? He said. Are you going to be a dick to me for the entire evening? If I do, probably. And at least he was honest. Okay, fine, I said, but I got 2 questions. Firstly, why are you wearing your old grammar school uniform? That was the theme of the post-exams Johnny R thing. He put his hand in his pocket. Do you even read the Facebook event? I skimmed it. Right. Secondly, why isn't Aled here? I told him I was going to go to the Louvre. He thinks you're in the Louvre right now. Yep. I stared at Daniel. This was entirely his idea. He was actually doing something nice for someone. Sure, if he was going to do anything nice for anyone, it was probably going to be Aled, but still, this was something. Alright then, I said. Cool. It's going to be awkward though, since you literally despise me. I don't literally despise you, he said. That's so dramatic. I put on a posh accent. Oh, sorry. I mean, we don't particularly get on. Only because you give me evils all the time. Excuse me, you're the one who gives me evils all the time. We stared at each other. An evil paradox, I continued. The circle of evil's conception. Are you wearing that? He said. I looked down. I was wearing Batman onesies. Yes, I said. Problem? So many, he said, turning around. So many problems. So I went inside and told my mom I was going to Aled's and she said that was fine, but she still needed to catch up on the Great Bake Off, and I could please not to be too loud when I came in. And then I grabbed my keys from the bolt near the door, and Elliot's birthday card and present from the kitchen table, and put on some shoes, and I took one last look at myself in the landing mirror. My makeup was pretty crap, and my hair was starting to fall out of its top knot, but I really didn't care that much. That's all there was to do, apparently. I don't know. So yeah, drinking school. I don't know.